Good morning, gang. Happy Friday morning. Okay, before I get started, because I know Mrs. P will watch this video sometime today, happy anniversary, honey. 8 years with me. I can't believe you made it this far. All right. Yes, today is our anniversary. Uh, okay. All this spending that we're doing, on bullshit projects, funding the Lincoln Center, sending money to Ukraine, sending money to Israel, sending money to Gaza, whatever, every one of Joe's little pet projects, the idiotic Department of Climate Change and the Pentagon's uh, gender pronoun police, all the DEI deals that we've got going on all over the place. All that's got to get paid for, right? Yeah. And of course, the first way that the government pays for it lately has been borrowing money or printing money, right? We all know that. That's the cause of inflation. Well, apparently that's not enough because the IRS came out yesterday and set the new tax brackets for this tax season, okay, for 2024's filing for 2023 income. And of course, they're trying to push out all the spin, if you will, on it. Oh, look how we're helping people. We increased the tax brackets by 5.4% due to inflation. So, don't worry about it. You're not going to get hurt. Really, because didn't you tell all the Social Security recipients that inflation was only 3.2% and that's what their raise was? Funny how that works. 2.2% turns out to be a lot of money, guys. Okay, just a difference there. But so I got to looking at this last night when these numbers came out. You might want to pay attention, especially if you are a single millennial. Okay, I'll give you this. How many times have we heard from the socialist left, they have to pay their fair share, the rich have to pay, yada, yada, yada. What do you consider rich? Okay. Do you consider rich somebody that makes $1 million? Somebody that makes $100,000? How about somebody that makes $47,150? Because if you make that, the government considers you rich. Remember all this talk about new IRS agents? We're only going after the rich. No. Just like we told everybody, they're going after anybody, basically, who has a job. I want to give you something. $47,000 breaks out to an hourly wage of about $21.50 an hour. I'm sorry, $23.50 an hour. Okay? So, hey, McDonald's workers in California, when you say, would you like fries with that? If you pick up a little bit of overtime, you're now considered rich. Yeah, $23.50 is considered rich, guys. Okay, just telling you. At least by Joe's economists and Joe's IRS. So I'm going to give you this. This will tell you how wonderful bidenomics is working and what you need to prepare for. Right. The median income in the United States for an individual this year, 2023, is $54,132, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Okay? So that means half the people make above, half the people make below. For an individual, $54,132. Just to give you a little idea here on how great Bidenomics is working, in 2020, that number was $71,456. So Bidenomics is doing so well that we're making $17,000 less on average in the country. Okay, just that's how great Joe's job market is. Now, I'm going to give you this one. The average household income in the United States in 2023 is $71,000. Okay? So, if you put these numbers together, the average household income this year, mom and dad working, is the same as it was 3 years ago, before Joe took office, for just dad to go to work. So if you think that things are tight, there's the numbers coming straight from the government that they don't put together, where you can look at, now it takes two incomes under bidenomics to do the same thing, to have the same income. We're not even talking spending power, to have the same income that you had during Trump's era. This is what Democrat economic policy does to you. So how about this? The IRS coming out with their new tax brackets, right? Well, if the average household income is $71,000, okay, that means the top tax bracket that household's going to have to pay into. And remember, we have a graduated tax system, okay? So first amount of money's at this tax bracket, next amount of money's at this tax bracket, et cetera, et cetera. It's not everything at this rate. Taxable income for a family, for joint, okay, is 12% on any income between $23,200 and $94,300. If the average household income is $71,000, okay, the top end tax bracket that any of that money is going to get taxed, federal income tax, is 12%. No big deal. Millennials, you might want to listen to this, okay? You know how Gen Zers, you're having too much fun being single. Oh, you don't want to be parents. You don't want the responsibilities of those things. Not all of you, obviously. Yeah. Well, you get punished for that. Okay? Because I'm going to give you this. If we go back to how much the median income is, $54,132. Like I said, consider yourself rich, okay, because you make more than $47,000. But oh yeah, your tax bracket for anything over, as an individual, for anything over $47,150, guess what? You get to pay 22% tax. Okay, this is economics, guys. Gen Zers, millennials, pay attention to this stuff. This stuff's actually important in your life. I know they never taught it to you in school. Okay, but yeah, taking a look. When you look at how the IRS jumped the tax brackets, okay, there's a 10%, the 10% bracket, anything you make less than $11,600, your first $11,600 in taxable income is 10%. Anything for an individual, anything between $11,600 and $47,150 is at 12%, okay? Here's where the definition of rich comes in. Then the jump goes from $47,150 to $100,525, okay? We went from 10 to 12, right? This time we jumped from 12% to 22%. Yeah, okay? We take little increment, huge increment, and then we go back to little increments, okay? Because then it goes 24, 32, 35, 37. But there's a 10% jump in there from 12 to 22 for any individual that makes over $47,150. Do the married people pay that? No, because that jump from 12 to 22 doesn't get till we hit $94,300 for married people. Okay, the median household income is $71,000, which is the same, like I said, in 2020 as it used to be for an individual. Okay, people aren't going to jump that high. The average family will be paying 12%. The average individual will have nearly double the tax burden on some of their money. That's how things work. All this talk about, oh, we raised the standard deduction and we raised the tax brackets. Yeah, okay. So Mrs. P and I looked at our tax return from last year, and I just changed the numbers. Okay. Everything else stay the same. Okay. I mean, standard deduction, I changed that. Income, I changed that. And tax brackets, I changed that. Yeah, here's the difference. Our income, not that you guys need to know what's going on, our income is down $20,000 from where it is last year. Okay. I will pay about $1,000 more in taxes this year than I did last year. How's that work out? So let me see. This is bidenomics in a nutshell. You make less, because we all are, okay? See the massive drop in incomes, household incomes, individual incomes. So you're making less, but when you make less, gee, we have to tax you more. Are you seeing the plan? We keep laying this out. Everything. How they are trying to take everything away from you. Now they're going to tax you more. Remember the Tea Party taxed enough already? And you wonder why people are moving from California, from Illinois, from Massachusetts, from New York. You can't get away from federal taxes in the United States, no matter where you live, unless, of course, you live on an Indian reservation. You're not getting away from federal taxes. But you can get away from some of the state taxes. You can get away from higher sales tax states or whatever and figure the trade-off. Yeah, I've got no state income tax here in Tennessee. I've got very low property taxes. Those are great. Our sales tax is high, okay? But sales tax is a good way to do this. It's a consumer-based tax, okay? There's all the talk you've had for years. We should have a national sales tax. Yeah, okay, I somewhat agree there, but that's not going to be as easy as it sounds. A lot of you know 30 plus years ago, I spent a couple of years working as a tax collector in Illinois. There's a lot of delinquent taxes out there, okay? And I was collecting unemployment insurance taxes. Just because you go pay the sales tax on your grocery store receipt or the hardware store or wherever, that store still has to send it to the IRS. If the store doesn't, that money still doesn't get collected. So we still have an issue, albeit there's less places to go after, but you still have an issue. Okay. The other thing with consumers is most of your uber wealthy, well, sure, they spend more money than we do. They save a lot of it, and if that's not taxable, okay, it doesn't do anything. So there's the issue with that one. Unless it's spent, it's not taxed. And we got to fund the government somehow. You know, as much as people bitch about it, I kind of like having a military. I kind of like having a highway system. I kind of like having a port system, things like that, that are paid for by the tax dollars. All right, it's how we protect ourselves. It's how we get from place A to place B. That's how we get whatever goods are shipped from one place to another. And you can figure out anything else, okay? So then you come into the flat tax idea. And it always amazes me where people bitch about the flat tax. There should be no problem with basically, if you want to tax the rich or whatever it is, do it real simple. If you make under X, you pay 10%. If you make over X, you pay 20%. Okay? Still do the graduated system. Let's say it's $1 million. Okay? Anything you make under $1 million is taxed at 10%. Anything you make over $1 million is taxed at 20%. Guess what? That makes them pay their fair share. There are no crazy deductions. There are no impossible tax returns to be filled out. I mean, remember this: if you make a mistake in your favor on a tax return, the IRS will come after you. If you make a mistake in their favor, they won't say a word to you. Okay, the IRS doesn't call you up and say, "Gee, we audited you and you paid too much money. Here's your money back." They don't do that. Okay. But this is it. We need somebody to come up with a feasible flat tax idea, kind of like the one I just told you, which would be very simple. And let's look at the side benefit. We wouldn't need 87,000 IRS agents. Hell, we wouldn't need 870,000 IRS agents, because taxes would be real simple. You take your paycheck, 10% is withheld, you're done. Gee, you don't get a paycheck, you get income from selling on Amazon or whatever it is. You fill out your tax return at the end of the year. What was your income? $100,000. What did you have withheld? $9,000. What's your total tax? $10,000. You had $9,000 withheld from your job. Poof, you owe $1,000. Done. Taxes would take you 5 minutes to fill out. We wouldn't need all this craziness. But right there, hey millennials, hey Gen Zers, the fact that you are staying single and living in mama's basement is costing you more money. You think you can't get a job? Hell, you might be better off taking that lower paying job, because if you make $47,149, you're going to save yourself some taxes. Pinball out.